know what I mean, try to say they're gonna, get back at the same system that's robbing them. But it's just the same old shit going around, son. And everybody just fighting each other. This shit is bullshit. Yo, I'll give you one more, son. One of these nasty ass fucking bullshit ass sucker ducker ass fucking sellout motherfucking African fucking nations. You know what I'm saying? And fuck that fucking place. As long as they're gonna call it fucking Africa, fuck them too, and fuck the name Africa. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm not disrespecting the people of Africa or nothing like that. But yo, fuck Africa, because Africa was based on when the European motherfuckers, Scorpio Africanus, fucking conquered the landmass of Africa after they conquered Hannibal. You know what I'm saying? And these motherfuckers want to run around and call the shit Africa. Fuck them. It ain't Africa. It's called Akibu land, motherfucker.
Akibu?
And until these, Akibu land.
Akibu land.
And fucking Egypt was called Kemet, land of the blacks, homie. Motherfucking cradle of civilization. That's what the fuck that shit means. And they're gonna change the name to some European white man's fucking last name and call that shit Africa and everything. Fuck them. And that's why they still sell out. That's why they still fucking sell out. That's why I don't fuck with none of these sellout ass, sucker ass niggas. Fuck out of here. So listen what they did. One of these motherfucking nations gonna say that, oh, we have all these college graduates with bachelor's degree and we don't have no jobs for them and stuff like that. So we need to outsource our fucking our youths to go work in other people's country to gain some experience.
Wow. Yo, Nas, can I say something? You the second person that told me that this week, man.
This shit's all bullshit. This is what I'm saying. Look at me and you. Look at where we at. Look at me. I'm all watered down and shit. This is what I'm saying, son. They've been selling us out. That's what I've been saying. They've been lying to the youth and shit. And it's time that motherfuckers be truthful to the fucking youth so the youth could be strong, man. And that's what I'm saying, son. That's why I ain't got no seeds, man. One of the reasons why I ain't got no seeds is because I ain't gonna sign over none of my seeds to the fucking devil fucking society. That's why I ain't got no fucking seeds yet, man. And I mean that shit.
Right.
I can teach my seeds sovereignty and independence. Fuck them. They ain't gonna get me. Because once you have a child, bro, you can't bust your gun back.
Facts.
You gotta get on the battlefield. You gotta be on the battlefield. You can't be on the battlefield with no babies, man. You gotta get organized and shit, but they keep bullshitting and fucking around and shit. They run for the fucking bag. And these African motherfuckers, these fucking sucker ass sellouts, they selling out their own children. They have sold out the African children for fucking generations. For nothing. And somebody's over these motherfuckers giving man, these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers upset me, bro. Because then, how the fuck you're gonna outsource the most important and valuable thing to you, which is your children, which is the future of your nation, my man, and outsource them to the devil nation? So they can work for the devil? Because just they want a fucking job? Come on, man. What we teaching the kids, man? Fuck, I hate that shit. So I never be part of this shit. This shit's disgusting when I hear that fucking news, man. They still selling us out. You can't get no respect. You can't. That's why I told Richie, fuck you. That's why when Richie came to me, and Richie said, yo, how much Eric paying you, man? Yo, my man. Now I'm tired of the Caribbean, bro.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the fucking Caribbean. You motherfucker crazy?
Yeah.
I don't sell off a no bag, homie. You crazy. I don't give a fuck about no bag. I was born naked, born with nothing, and I'm gonna leave here with nothing. Why the fuck am I gonna sell out for a bag, homie? Fuck out of here. And the bag they're trying to give me what they stole from our forefathers. So crazy.
Facts.
Man. That's what I'm saying, man. So me, I'm holding out. So that's what I'm saying. When I heard that African shit, I was like, yo, I kick a fucking African in the nuts right now. And that's why they can't tell me nothing about going back to Africa as long as they call the nation Africa. Fuck them.
Okay.
Call it a Kibu land. I bet you can't call it a Kibu land because you're away.
Yo, Nas. Yo, let me ask you a question, man. Well, when I picked up the phone, you said, yo, man, I just went to the store to get some snacks for me and my wife so we could chill out. And then you just went on a rant, man. Like, what happened, man? You all right over there, man?
I know, man. You know why, man? Because these fucking niggas be selling out too much, man. And that should be upsetting me. Because it's like everywhere I turn, homie, niggas are selling out. And you can't have no motherfucking stance when you're selling out like that, man. And you can't bite the hand that feeds you. So how the fuck you gonna have independence, man? So when Africa did that shit, I'm like, sucker, man. I don't know, whatever, man. So go ahead, tell me what you gotta tell me, son.
Nah, I was, telling you that we live, man, we broadcasting.
So that shit live? That shit is broadcasting?
We,
so that shit is to the world right now,
it's to the world right now. You can go. This real out here in these streets, man. We trying to tell y'all that, man, every day, man. You know what I mean? People don't want to seem to listen, but they're going to start to listen in a minute when it start getting hot, because you just said it when you got on the phone. Eggs is $10 a dozen, man. Huh? $10 a dozen?
Yo, son. Yo, fuck the culture vultures. Fuck the culture vultures selling out hip-hop. Fuck out of here. Say shit.
Hey, listen. The culture vultures selling out hip hop. Hey, I seen a white boy. He was spitting some raps, right? And he had a black guy with him. They was partners in group. So the Chinese guy was like, yeah, man, I'm the only Chinese man can say the word. And then he was getting ready to say the N-word, but the black guys covered his mouth and said it for him. And then he let him finish. Then he jumped back in there and finished the rap. He said, I'm the only Chinese motherfucker that can say nigga. You heard? So.
He did a song called Coming from Brooklyn or something, man. Straight out of Brooklyn.
Something like that, man. But, it's crazy, man. Like, me personally, man, I don't really give a flying F, man. Who does what, man? Just leave me alone, man. Let me do me, man. They ain't got no choice, man. I'm here, man. I'm by myself. I'm in the basement, man. I'm in the basement, dog. Ain't nobody here with me, man. We dolo, man. We about to move mountains. All right, so when you call me back, while you call me back, I'm going to go ahead and start my show. You heard? Sun rooftop. Digging in the scene with the gangster lean and and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile. See on my head that smile. I'm on top of the world, top of the town, baby. I moved up the hood that had the church on the corner where I sit and talk shit all day cause I wanna. And on top of that, wasn't none of y'all gonna do nothing but keep running your mouth and keep frontin'. Go ahead and say something. I'll wait. I ain't gonna wait for late, cause in a minute I'm escape. Cause there is no debate. No, it's not an option. You gotta keep the cop. Watch. Sun rooftop, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile.
With those who want to crack down, like Tom Homan, and one of which is, not a surprise, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Yesterday, she was offering to.
Now that you know that the HGM brand, though, knows. Cam, tell them where we from.
From 140th and Lenox. I was from NFL, up the block was 40 Wolves, Lou Simpson's on 142nd Cross Square, D. Fergo number 8th Avenue. I don't see you around none of this. Not from none of that.
Don't know show. It's your boy Dabrand. Check it out. That was my boy Nas when I came on. He was a little emotional. But I guess he gonna get over that because you're a grown ass man. He need to snap the fuck up out of that crazy shit he was talking. But give me a call. You need a shoulder to cry on. I'm here for you, man. That's my boy. I love you, man. Get your shit together, man. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this.
Remain in the country and
is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because impediment is impediment, in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean, we're done. This is about public safety. This is about community safety. Knowingly releasing a public safety back in the public is just stupid. You're putting the public at great risk. You're putting our officers at great risk. You're even putting the illegal alien at great risk because anything can happen on an arrest on the street. So we just want to make common sense in sanctuary cities.
Yeah.
They want to step aside. Step aside. We're coming. We're going to do it for you. If you don't want to make your community safer, President Trump's going to.
Well, and everyone, blue cities across America, get ready. Tom, as always, thank you.
Want to really see something that said, take a look what happened.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Boy, oh boy, couldn't wait to get into this. Oh, man. The lady should have been gone long time ago. They should have got out long time ago. I tell you, a disgrace. But hey, I hope everybody's having an amazing week. Happy Friday. God bless them beautiful patriots around the world. Happy Valentine's Day. All these holidays, they come and go, don't they? And some of them patriots say, Rick, they made them holidays up to make us spend that money to keep the corrupt scam matrix to keep flowing. Unbelievable. Got them patriots maxing out that credit card on them chocolate-covered strawberries. God, dog. Big teddy bears, flowers, rose petals. Some of y'all got that ditty all on the floor, on the wall. Y'all better not, y'all put that ditty all up now. And I tell you, them lists is releasing soon. Hope y'all ready. That Epstein list, that Diddy list, all of that stuff coming out. Hope y'all ready. Buckle up for these next couple of years. It's going to get interesting. And as you can see right here, update, AOC will face charges for teaching illegal immigrants how to avoid capture by ICE. ICE, baby.
ICE, baby.
Oh, yeah. They got to take her to the slammer and just make her sit in there and look at the wall. You know? Matter of fact, go get her little buddy, too, the ghetto one. That she gives her a run for her money. That Jasmine Crockett lady. Go get that lady, too. And just make both of them sit in there and play what's that thing called? Pity Pat Hopscotch. What's that game? What's that called? Yeah, make them both sit in there, crisscross applesauce in there. Here's the clip right here, y'all.
Principle number one in what you can do is that when
put your hands behind your back. We got to walk you out. Yeah, we got to walk all y'all out. Yep, pack your bags. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to say it. It was just in my spirit. I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize. I did not mean to do these loud outbursts. They say, Rick, oh my goodness, sir, please stop talking. Let the clip play. But it was in my spirit. I had to say it. Sorry.
When one of these things comes to your backyard, you can resist. And what that happens over millions of people is that you generate enough friction that they cannot go as fast as they want to go, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples that have already been working. Let's start with immigration and ICE. When people say, what can we do? In my community, we are a heavily immigrant community. ICE raids deeply affect and disrupt our community. So, number one, if you live in a community with a lot of immigrants, know your rights. That's one tangible thing you can do that I want you to do. And that means know your rights if you are a US citizen as well. Okay? Here's one way that we're going to create some friction in this system. Tom Homan, who's directing a lot of these ICE operations nationally, etc., he went on TV practically crying. This dude was whining his ass.
You know, I ain't gonna say it, y'all. I know, I can already see the comments now. I know.
Ass off because ICE went into the city of Chicago, and Chicago had prepared for them. Community organizers, activists, and their mayor and local elected officials who were solid on this issue, they
solid on this issue. Like, what's wrong with you, AOC? That's crazy to us, man. We don't want y'all doing that. We want y'all to get out the way, clear the way, so we could get back to doing what we was doing before y'all opened up the border and let all those people in. You see, before that, I had a job, man. Now I'm sitting home, looking at you, telling people how to keep people in my way. And I don't understand why you would be doing that. Huh? AOC, there's a reason why I was going through a neighborhood in the Bronx and I decided to take a seat on the bench. And I take a look over my left shoulder. And what did I see? Let me see if I can find what I saw. Has to see it. Where is it? Where they put AOC? They got her way at the bottom. Look at this. Still ain't found this lady. Yeah. All right. What's that? Okay. All right.
Help me! Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Don't help me! Who is it? Your mom! What do you mean it's my mom? I'm sorry.
Yo, check it out. Unbelievable. Run your mouth.
educated the city on their legal rights. Because what ICE tries to do is that they rely on people not knowing their rights in order to enter buildings, in order to search workplaces, etc. So when you know your rights, you are able to tell them no, and they do walk away. What you can do is protect people around you and also make sure that you are slowing down this system. The slower they operate, the less they can break.
Yeah, buddy. Y'all know what we advocate for on this channel. Somebody being made and an example out of. Yeah. You see now people are getting investigated, charged, sued.
Hey, I'm in agreement with you 100%. I can't wait to see them come out with the handcuffs on a bunch of these clowns. The AOC, she's smiling. I seen that right there. Look. Somebody just threw it right in the garbage. That says a lot.
You know, walk out with your hands behind your back. We got to walk you out. Yeah. And they not effing around. This Trump administration is not, around, find out. You know what I'm saying? But hey, happy Valentine's Day to them patriots. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope y'all enjoy your Valentine's Day. A lot of y'all getting free. I know y'all. Oh man, y'all the maxed out that credit card. Got that Diddy. Yeah, hugs and kisses, huh? Hugs and kisses. Got your teddy bear, some chocolate. I know what them patriots be doing. I ain't gonna snitch on you. I told you when I was growing up, we got hit upside the head. Stop all that tattletelling. Stop all that tattletelling. That's what, hey, mama used to grab that switch or that extension cord. Wham! Yeah, stop all that tattletelling on your little brother. Yeah, we knew not to tattletale. So I ain't gonna snitch on them patriots. I ain't gonna snitch. You know what I'm saying? Let me read some of these. We're gonna get into this next part of the video real quick, man. But it's a disgrace, man. AOC. Oh. Yeah, I really want this woman to be made an example out of. That's what we advocate for, especially this one. And it's a list of them that need to be made an example out of. A list, a big fat list. Let me see what them patriots talking about. How does she become worth tens of millions of dollars since elected. She should be investigated for that as well, too. Where does it say that the U.S. Constitution that an illegal alien has rights? Woo! It's getting spicy. Pam Bondi, add her to your list. Oh boy. And y'all know Pam is not effing around
at all.
Man. Pam is not effing around, man. Someone point to me the part of the Constitution where it cites rights for people here illegally. I'm reading the comment section now. Hey, we finna get into it. I just got to see what them Patriots talking about. That's all. Cause you know them Patriots they gonna stomp the ground with them boots on. Yeah. Cut all federal funding for harboring criminals. Does anyone find it ironic that a person who already knowingly broke our laws might then be interested in knowing their rights? Ooh. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Let's get into this though, man. Oh brother, I really want to see this woman walked out though. I mean, she's a disgrace, man. An absolute disgrace. I know. I see all the bar jokes. You know, but I really want this woman walked out, man. Remember, she got up there jumping and screaming and with that big fella jump. What's that fella name that pulled that fire alarm? He up there beating on his chest like a big monkey, or like he's just like some kind of gorilla or something. I don't know, man. It's a disgrace. You know, make us look bad, man. I tell you, it's ridiculous, man. Jamar Bowman, what's that fella name? And they come out there in a rally in New York City and only like 30, 40 people showed up. And he come out in the next couple of days and get landslided out. These people are a disgrace, man.
Terrible.
And they need to get AOC out of it. I'm telling y'all, man. Her, that ghetto one, that other lady, she need to be what's her name? She need to be deported. I'm just saying. She need to be deported now. I'm just saying. Hey, they say, Rick, don't say that, sir. Sir, do not say that. They say, Rick, say whatever you want. You're keeping it real. So I just keep saying what I say. You know.
Immigration are heating up. Border czar Tom Homan went on Fox News last night to explain why he thinks the DOJ should investigate Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Let's watch.
Man, these crooks in Washington, man, I tell you, it's a bunch of crooks in Washington. They need to be made an example out of, man. For real.
But Tom, you got AOC out there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's impediment, it's impediment in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that.
So, to be clear, AOC's office did indeed post a webinar Wednesday on Facebook. That webinar guided migrants on what their rights were and advised them on how to deal with ICE. Ocasio-Cortez responded to Homan on Blue Sky, writing, "Maybe she's going to be in trouble now. Maybe he can learn to read. The Constitution would be a good place to start."
Attorney General Pam Bondi is also wielding the power of the law on sanctuary cities.
I really want to say they made an example out of, man.
Chicago, Cook County, and Illinois. The DOJ says that.
Yeah. Oh no, baby, it's on those till I pop for shorty. Hit me with a lumber. You need to tell me where you wanna go. Pop that shorty, look good in Fonda. Yeah, it's my boy right there on the screen. Check him out. It's my rock star.
Go get Scum, new Scum. Yeah, we need to just make an example out of people, man. They done ran these places to the ground. Yeah, and there's a I tell you, man. Yeah, buddy.
Inhibit federal law enforcement from doing their job. Here's Bondi on Wednesday announcing yet another related lawsuit.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV.
Yeah, Kathy, we can't even get on. They couldn't even get on the sub. You made that subway video, and then that man, that illegal set that woman on fire and sat and enjoyed and smiled after you posted that subway safety video. Our subways are so safe. And Biden just standing down looking at his feet. Unbelievable. It's a disgrace, man.
Terrible.
Couldn't even get on the subway. Can't even walk down the street.
DOJ. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next.
Got to make an example out of them.
In a nutshell, self-proclaimed
make an example.
Limit the information they share with federal officials when it comes to illegal immigrants. Portland, San Francisco, New Haven, and now Seattle are themselves suing the Trump administration. Those cities allege that Trump is illegally cutting off federal funds to them over their sanctuary policies. Seattle City Attorney Ann Davidson told the Seattle Times in a statement, quote, "I think it's important to say this should not be tolerated, and we're going to make sure we have our voice heard. It is an issue about federal overreach into local control."
New York Congressman Mike Lawler wrote on X, New York must end its sanctuary state and city policies immediately. The failure to obey federal immigration law and fully cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement has resulted in the death of Americans. It must end today. Governor Hochul, repeal your executive order now.
Boy.
Meanwhile, satirical account Rep Jack Kimball, that is not a real rep to be clear, that's why it's satirical, wrote on X, "Wow, AOC has been caught telling immigrants their rights. No wonder Tom Homan is outraged. If people start exercising their rights, it could really impede ICE." So, Dan, I've a few things to say on this
boy.
one, and I think it's an interesting discussion to have. One of the points I think to start off with is what is meant by sanctuary city is often not that well defined, and it
the task force on the declassification of federal secrets. This task force will be a part of the House Oversight Committee and led by the very talented and persistent Congresswoman from Florida, Anna Paulina Luna. During her time on the Oversight Committee, Representative Luna is a sledgehammer against government secrecy. She is committed to throwing open the windows for the American people to allow the sunlight of truth shine on the federal government. I can think of no better person in Congress to lead this task force than Representative Luna. Last month, President Trump signed an executive order to begin the process to declassify information on the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK. This task force serves to build on President Trump's actions. For far too long, the American people have had reasonable questions of what their government, which they fund every day, keeps hidden about certain issues. And for far too long, the federal government has not answered these questions. This creates distrust in our institutions. That ends today. The voters of this nation delivered a historic mandate to President Trump on November 5th. The keystone of that mandate was demanding increased transparency of their government and elected leaders, and the mandate of this task force is to acquire that transparency. We will open this up for questions from the media, but first I'd like to hand it over to my esteemed colleague and chairman of the new task force, Congresswoman Luna, for her remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. When our founding fathers stood against tyranny, they did not merely oppose taxes. They defended the sacred idea of individual sovereignty. They declared that no government, agency, or title could infringe upon the freedoms of speech, religion, thought, and the pursuit of truth. For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy. by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now. Without further ado, we'd like to open it up for questions, as I'm sure many of you have those. Hands up.
Thank you, Nancy. Obviously, your goals are aligned with the administration's on the declassification of Martin Luther King and the Kennedys. How would you handle if you end up, whether it's President Trump or Attorney General Bondi or DNI Gabbard, if they disagree with what you're looking to declassify on a certain topic, whether it's UAPs or 9/11 or something like that? How would you handle if there's some stuff that they don't necessarily want to declassify?
Well, certainly, I think that they'd be supportive, being that they're advocating for this. But also, I want to remind the American people that this is bipartisan. There's also Democrats that are looking into answering these very questions. But certainly, we would share that information with the American people. This is about transparency. And I think, again, as I stated, for far too long, there's been a massive push to keep the American people in the dark, and that ends today.
Do you have subpoena power?
Chairman?
The task force does not have subpoena power. I do. The task force is going to be subsidiary of the full oversight committee. So if we have to issue one, Congresswoman Luna, we'll discuss it and we'll take appropriate action.
But in full transparency, we have a great working relationship, as I stated earlier, with the White House, with the DOJ, with the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of State. The incoming FBI director, I think, will be very supportive, and we've also been told that the CIA director is very supportive. To put it in perspective, I think that this issue transcends not just one administration, but multiple administrations, and it hasn't been until now that we've been able to get people actually in positions of power that will push for transparency. Now, if I find that different entities in the various intelligence agencies are stonewalling us, I'm going to make that known to the American people. But as of right now, we are cautiously optimistic.
What's your priority list? Because Epstein, 9/11.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
Thank you for doing this. Have you identified the Democrats who will sit on the task force, and could you talk a little bit more about the role of Democrats in this?
Yeah, so again, this is a bipartisan commission. Remember, JFK was a Democrat, RFK was a Democrat, and I'm sure that I think the entire conference has a question on what actually happened with Dr. Martin Luther King, but also UAPs. You guys know that that was the biggest bipartisan bicameral hearing that we've ever had, I think, in congressional history. I do not know who their members are yet. They've noticed it, but they're taking this very seriously. This is not a conspiracy theory investigating committee. We're actually looking to present truth to the American people. And it's in my opinion that no one person elected to office is more important or more qualified to look at the information that they've been hiding from us. And so we look to push for that transparency.
What sort of witnesses will you expect to have at your hearings? I know you said the first one's in March. Would that be department heads, former employees of various agencies?
Would you like to jump in? Yeah, I was going to say, based on what we're actually looking to do with the JFK investigation, I'm looking at to actually bring in some of the attending physicians at the initial assassination, and then also people that had been on the various commissions looking into, like the Warren Commission looking into the initial assassinations. There's been conflicting evidence, and I think that even the FBI at the time reported some anomalies in the initial autopsy at Bethesda, Maryland. All of those, though, seem to have been rinsed and repeated in the media to push a certain narrative that we don't agree with. And so I think that in order to put to bed some of the theories that have been out there on John F. Kennedy, we have to know the full truth, and the full truth starts with transparency, and that's why these files is so important for the American people to read for themselves.
With this task force, what are you hoping to uncover as far as UAPs that you have not already heard from other UAP hearings?
The biggest information problems that we've had with UAPs is the amount of stonewalling, stovepiping, and also it seems that there is this push to gaslight the American people into looking at the evidence and then not fully believing it. I think for us, if we're writing the budget, for example, into the Pentagon, if we're writing the budget overall for whatever programs might be out there, why is it that members of Congress who are given a top secret security clearance are being denied access? That's not a free and true government. And so for us, especially being that we have now a Secretary of State who's actually open to declassification and Marco Rubio, we're hoping to present that information and at least acknowledge it from a government perspective that we are not alone, but also let's see what the evidence is.
Thank you. Have you already been in contact with or started to send requests to these different agencies and federal departments?
Yes, in fact, the letters went out this morning, not just on RFK, JFK, and MLK, but on everything that I had listed above to include UAPs, Epstein, and 9/11 and COVID, to the State Department, Department of Defense, CIA, and then also we'll be sending some to the FBI, and letters have also gone out to the NSA.
How is this going to be different than the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which investigated both the John F. Kennedy assassination and the King assassination?
Well, what's interesting on that specific committee is what, to my understanding, when they actually brought in expert witnesses, they weren't actually people that were in attendance to the initial autopsy at Bethesda, but also this is a bigger committee than just the JFK assassinations. We're also expanding into Epstein, COVID origins, 9/11s, and then UAPs and USOs. And so before, where we initially had some of these hearings, this is going to be an encompassing committee that's going to work directly with the White House on information that they're declassifying.
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
you mentioned the Warren, there's the Warren Committee, but also the Select.
Correct. Correct. There's actually 3 different government investigations into the JFK assassination. But again, this committee is expanding not just there, but outwards into other fields. And again, we're working directly with the White House. In previous investigations, they didn't have access to the information that we are going to have access to. And so that's a big deal, especially if you're looking at what truly happened with JFK.
Are you going to get a top secret clearance?
I already have a top secret clearance.
You do?
All members of Congress have a TSCI. The question is do we get SAP access, of which Chairman Comer has been very supportive, and we'll be getting SAP access as well. Okay, 2 more, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Obviously, some of the questions on some of these topics, whether it's Jeffrey Epstein or COVID-19, the questions are obvious. What specifically, though, are the questions you're looking to get answered with regards to September 11th?
We just want the truth. How much did the CIA know in advance? But also, remember, when you have only certain information that's shared with the American people, that's when conspiracy theories happen. And it's in my opinion that conspiracy theories can be detrimental. It doesn't mean that in the last couple of months we haven't been right on a few things, but what I will say is I think that we deserve to give this information to the American people. I don't agree with the stonewalling that's occurred. And also, how do we prevent things like it from happening in the future? And we have to know the full picture, and the American people deserve to know that as well.
Can we expect any collaboration with the Department of Government Efficiency?
I don't know what information DOJ would have, but I would encourage them, if they have anything on JFK, Epstein, or anything in between, that they bring it to our office immediately. Okay, one more and then we'll wrap it up. Of course.
Oversight of sanctuary cities. Senior City Mayor Eric Adams stands apart from the other Democrats in that he's cultivating a relationship with President Trump and has been critical of sanctuary laws. And what do you hope to uncover with this hearing?
Well, we have a lot of questions. Some of the people in the mayor's administration have been vocal that they weren't going to comply with federal law, that they were going to continue to act as sanctuary cities. We want to know about coordination they had between the previous administration. How did so many of these illegals get there? Who was paying for it? Who were they communicating with to be able to provide housing and so many other benefits to such a large population of people? Just the basic questions we all have. Who was paying for it? Who was leading the efforts to transport the illegals from wherever their entry point was in the United States to these sanctuary cities? And are the mayors going to comply with federal law now? Are they going to work with Tom Homan and the national security groups in the Trump administration to try to deport the criminal illegals and stop being a sanctuary city?
Do you feel less worried about Eric Adams himself considering his signals?
Worried about what?
Do we feel less worried about Eric Adams?
Eric Adams, I mean, he was one of the first mayors to bring up the crisis situation, the fiscal impact on the city. So I think he would be a very good witness, and we have a lot of questions for him, just like we do the other three mayors. So,
all right, one last question, then we're going to wrap it up. News Nation, let's go.
Can you think about your relationship with whistleblowers? Is it going to be the normal process that oversight typically does, or would this be? Are you going to create a separate avenue for the task force?
I mean, we're all about the normal process, but look, if you have information and it's credible, we've always approached it in that I'd like to be the person that does the interviews for it, mainly because, especially with stuff like this, we want to make sure that there's, not bad actors that are pushing false information to create a narrative that's simply not there. And so, every whistleblower that does come forward, as of right now, there's people that have been publicly out there, for example, on the JFK stuff, that were actually present in the room at the operating room where he was actually brought to right after the shooting. So we hope to bring those people in to testify. And again, these hearings will be open to the public. I am also expanding this to the entire conference. So if someone's going to take this seriously and look at it through an investigative lens and get answers for the American people, they are welcome to ask questions of the witnesses, and you guys will all receive notice of that.
And we'll work with anyone who currently works with the federal government that wants to declare whistleblower status and receive whistleblower protection, if that's what they're interested in doing. And I don't think they're going to face the type of retaliation that the previous administration gave whistleblowers, particularly the IRS whistleblowers that blew the whistle on the cover-up of the Biden family.
And I'd also like to close with this. If you are an independent investigator, we are being told that the FBI has now located thousands of pages of documents that they lost before, specifically relating to JFK. We are going to get through as much as we can. We have a great team of attorneys. We have a great team of investigators looking into this, but it doesn't mean that we won't accept help from the public. And so we will be setting up a place for collection for people to present information. But again, this is about transparency. The government works for us. There have been people, I think, in power for too long that try to silo us and keep us in the dark, but that stops today. You're seeing that same message come out of the White House, out of the CIA, the FBI, and every other agency in between. So we are very happy to have the support of all of those individuals, happy to have the support of Chairman Comer and Speaker Johnson. And if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Oversight Comms, and we'd be happy to answer those at that time. Thank you, guys.
That's the illest.
Let's listen on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you very much for being here. We have largely an energy group today. We're
looking to be very energy dominant, and we will be in a very short order. These are great professionals, but before we do that, we'll be signing an executive order having to do with COVID and schools. Lindsay?
Yep. So this first executive order, it prohibits federal funding for COVID-19 mandates, vaccine mandates in schools.
Okay, and that will meaning they want to clear that up,
Yep.
the discrepancy.
So any schools that require students to be vaccinated with COVID-19 shot, then there's no more federal funding. So.
Okay. Okay, that solves that problem.
Sir, will the Department of Education have to handle that?
Yes, it'll go through the Department of Education. Okay? Thanks.
Can I make one comment, Mr. President?
Yes, please.
As a father of 9, thank you. We should have parental freedom to decide what vaccines our kids take, as opposed to school systems and governors forcing upon the people that love these kids the most, which is the parents. So thank you for citing that.
Great, thank you very much. People wanted that very badly. Okay.
Okay, and here is an executive order establishing the National Energy Dominance Council. So that will be chaired by the Secretary of the Interior, Mr. Burgum, and the Vice Chair, Chris Wright. And so this will reduce costs with respect to energy, establish American independence with energy, and also unleash energy dominance.
Good, thank you. And this is a big deal. We have more energy than any other country, and now we're unleashing it, to put it nicely. And I'd like to ask Doug, you're going to be heading it up. You and Chris, would you say a few words about it, please?
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Good afternoon. President Trump wisely understood that under the Biden administration, there was a war against American energy, and today that war officially has ended. President Trump on day one declared a national energy emergency. And this is a real emergency because under the Biden administration restricted the production of oil and gas. Production's still coming, but when you stop holding leases, when you take 625 million acres of land out of ocean land, out of production possibilities through an executive order, you're really restricting the balance sheet of America. But today, as President Trump said, this is unleashed. The National Energy Dominance Council will be made up, all the folks that are standing beside me here, other cabinet leaders and many more, represent President Trump's wise decision that we need a whole of government approach to unwind. The Biden administration had a whole of government approach that had the war against U.S. energy. Now we need to turn that around 180 degrees and unleash that potential. We've got to unleash it from the Gulf of America all the way up to Alaska. We have amazing resources in this country, and we haven't been getting a return on them. Many of these are under public lands. The interior has 500 million acres of surface, 700 million acres of subsurface minerals, critical minerals, and offshore close to 2 billion acres. And that balance sheet is the biggest balance sheet in the world, and it's been completely underutilized. Everybody knows we have 36 trillion in debt as a country, but no one knows how many hundreds of trillions of dollars of assets we have. And President Trump is asking us to go get a return on that investment for the American people. And with that, we're going to have prosperity at home with lower prices. And we're also going to have peace abroad, because the wars that we've been engaged in, or our allies have been fighting over the past few years, have been funded by the oil sales of our adversaries. So we have an opportunity, and we also are in an AI arms race with China. The only way we win that is with more electricity. And we also have an energy emergency in terms of electricity. Too much intermittent, unreliable, not enough base load. We've been shutting down the base load that we have. President Trump is going to reverse that, and it's going to allow us to win the AI arms race, which is the most important thing that we have to do relative to our future. So with that, I want to say again, thank you to President Trump, and I want to thank my fellow members of the Energy Council here. I'm going to kick it over to the Vice Chair, Chris Wright, who's the Secretary of the Department of Energy.
Thank you, Secretary Burgum. Today is truly a great day for our country today.
And Secretary Burgum laid out so many of the problems the last 4 years. If you put barriers in front of energy, you make it more expensive, you make it less reliable, you make it harder to do business here, and harder for our consumers to pay their bills. With this fantastic action from our president, we now have authority across the government to lean in to fix these problems. And I'll start out with one specific right away. This morning, I signed our first LNG export license, unpausing the pause in action. The Commonwealth LNG project that'll be on the Gulf Coast in Louisiana is now officially ready to go. This will be a large construction project for American workers. It'll draw demand for more American energy production that'll be shipped overseas to our allies. Many more of those to come. We're also working aggressively to roll back standards that have made appliances more expensive for Americans, and dishwashers that take 2 hours long and don't get your dishes clean. Nobody likes that. That's about standing in the way. And with this President Trump and our new National Energy Dominance Council, there's so many things we can do to make American lives better, bring down costs and grow opportunities. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to a fellow member of the council, our Administrator of the EPA, Lee Zeldin.
Thank you, Secretary, and honored to be serving on the Energy Dominance Council. At EPA, we're doing our part to power the great American comeback. And President Trump has made it clear that he wants EPA to be doing our job to ensure that we are unleashing energy dominance however we can help, that we are assisting in making America the AI capital of the world, that we are pursuing permitting reform, that we are helping to bring back American auto jobs. This is the mandate of the American public. The Trump mandate, it was clear, and the guidance from President Trump to me when he asked me, thankfully, for the opportunity for us to be able to serve together in partnership to unleash energy dominance. This is a moment that we must meet. To that end, it is important to note that the prior Biden-Harris EPA issued a waiver to California for tailpipe emissions. This was a rule that should have been submitted to Congress. We will submit it to Congress. Congress will have the opportunity through the Congressional Review Act to make that waiver go away. We will do everything in our part to help the American people to make life in America more affordable. The golden age of American success is upon us. If you're excited about the last 3 weeks, that was just a taste of the main event, the entree to come, the next 4 years being the greatest term in the history of the American presidency. With that, I'd like to introduce Sean Duffy.
Thank you. So, first of all, thank you for the work on dishwashers. We use more water to wash our dishes before we put them in the dishwasher.
That's right.
We're not saving water, we're using more water, so thank you for that. But I'm also joining the EPA. We've introduced our rules to start to look at the CAFE standards. So we're looking at how much it costs for end users when they put gas in their car. And the Biden era standards are costing billions of dollars in taxes and carbon credits, which drive up the cost of vehicles. And so we're going to remedy that, rectify it, and make sure we're bringing down the cost of a car, number one. Number two, if I could just mention, Mr. President, per your direction, we are going to move forward with a permitting process for the Texas Gulf Link Deepwater Port, making sure we can move energy in and out of the country. So that was held up for 5 years. And it was stonewalled, bureaucrats got in the way. We're now going to move forward with that, making sure we have great oil infrastructure in the country.
Great, thanks. Great
and
job.
Howard Lutnick?
Yes.
So, the nanny state, you're feeling the end of the nanny state. From straws made of paper to regulation endlessly harming Americans and holding us back. It slows down our production and manufacturing, which we were talking about with the Prime Minister of India yesterday. You're hearing that about energy dominance. It's going to go away. We're going to care about Americans. The Trump administration and this president cares about Americans, and you're going to feel it change. You're going to feel the price of energy coming down. You're going to feel prices coming down. You're going to feel an explosion. The golden age of manufacturing of America has always been there. It's just been stifled by regulation, and that time is over.
Thank you very much, Howard. please.
Mr. President, I just want to say that you've built such an incredible team, and Secretary and Chairman Burgum, that he's been working on this his whole life. And so what I expect you to see, sir, is action as early as next week that is going to shock people about how good it is for Americans. And so thank you for your leadership, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And we are also working on a project that has been under wraps for 20 years. Everybody wanted it. It's been held up by New York. It's a pipeline that will bring down the energy prices in New York and in all of New England by 50, 60, 70%. It should have been done years ago. We'll be speaking to New York, and the New York is actually the biggest beneficiary because their energy costs are very high. This will reduce them very substantially. But all of the governors want this to happen, and I think it's going to happen. It's now going to happen. It's something that's would rather not have to go eminent domain. We'll do that if we have to in New York, but hopefully we won't have to do that. This again will bring down energy prices in New England by numbers that nobody can even believe, probably 50, 60%, maybe even more than that. A lot of them don't even pay energy because they have no energy. They use logs. They go out and they cut down a tree. It's really a terrible situation. So we're going to get this done, and we can have it done once we start construction. We're looking at anywhere from 9 to 12 months, if you can believe it. It's going to go very rapidly. The other thing I'd like Doug to mention, the 635 million acres that Biden so viciously took out of our net worth. If you look at it from the standpoint of a company, you talk about net worth. They've destroyed our net worth. We're putting it back. It will be back as of this afternoon. And Doug, could you mention that? All of the millions and millions of acres that he just handed back to
Yes,
nobody.
the executive order by President Biden that wiped out these trillions from our balance sheet. President Trump signed an executive order instructing me as the Secretary of Interior to unban that ban, and that's been accomplished. And so those are back on the U.S. balance sheet.
Okay.
Sorry, which one is that?
The 625 million acres of offshore that was banned from further lease sales.
Further anything.
And 625 million acres is
Right.
1/3 the size of the lower 48 that was taken off our balance sheet. It's back on there now. President Trump cares about the American people. He knows that these public lands belong to the public. They don't belong to Washington bureaucrats from the prior administration. And we're going to make sure that we get a return on investment for the American people.
The amount of money that he took off our balance sheet, if you look at it as a balance sheet, it was incalculable. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres, which if you sit down and look, it's like that's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away. And fortunately, it wasn't done with an act of Congress or anything. And we did it in a, I think, very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure. And it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back as part of our country. What they did was so horrible. It was just a terrible thing to do, an unbelievable thing to do. Also, they mentioned dishwashers and sinks and showers and the whole thing. We're going to get rid of those restrictions. You have many places where they have water. They have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. But people buy a house, they turn on the sink and water barely comes out. They take a shower, water barely comes out. And it's an unnecessary restriction. And basically, I think we're going to be going back to the Trump rule. We had it, and everybody was happy. And then these people came in and they restricted it again. So we're going back, and we'll get it approved by Congress. In addition, we'll get it approved by Congress. So for 4 years, it's good, but we're going to get it permanently taken care of. And again, very environmentally friendly. But we want to be able to, when somebody turns on a sink to wash their hands or presses the button for a dishwasher and there's barely enough water there's no water. And you know what they do? They press the button 10 times. They run it 10 times. So it ends up costing a lot more. So I know you're working on that. And where are we on that?
We're working closely with the Department of Energy with regards to rules that were enacted during the Biden administration. Inside of the EPA, we are overhauling the water sense standards that are there to update them for the American people, to bring down cost of living and combat inflation, and just pursue common sense.
Good. Well, we have more oil and gas than anybody else in the world. We're opening up Anwar again. As you know, we got something Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. No president was able to do it. I got it. And the first week in office, the Biden administration terminated that. Anwar is the biggest site, probably bigger than Saudi Arabia. We don't know yet, but it's of that size or bigger. And we hit gold, and I call it liquid gold, but we hit gold, and for whatever reason, they terminated it, and we were just ready to start utilizing it. This could take care of all of Asia, energy-wise, very close to Japan. In fact, Japan wants to go and be our partner doing the pipeline going right into the ships. So they expressed tremendous interest. So did Prime Minister Modi of India. And just in closing, both Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister of Japan, both very good people, they said we couldn't make a deal. We couldn't get any energy. I mean, you wonder what was going on with our country. They couldn't make a deal to get any energy from the Biden administration. They just couldn't do it. There was nobody to deal with. They didn't know how to go about it. And they're very happy that we're here. But we're going to really benefit our taxpayers, and we're going to benefit our country. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This is a very big bill. This is really going to be energy dominant. We're going to be energy dominant like nobody else. And this doesn't even discuss all of the electricity that we're going to be producing for all of the AI plants. You know, they need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So you take all of our electricity that we have all over the country just for AI to do it right and to win that war, which we're leading by a lot. Because of what we've done over the last few weeks. We're leading by actually a lot. But if you take all of it, we have to double our electricity needs just for the AI, and that doesn't include the other technologies. So it's a real honor to sign this bill. We're going to also work on CAFE standards. Lee, you're going to be doing that and make that whole situation, bring that back into reality, and I think very quickly, having to do with cars. Thank you very much.
Will we cut any tariffs yesterday as part of your meeting?
No, but in 2 weeks we will have another one. Yesterday was very big. Reciprocal tariffs was very big, and I explained to the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, very good man, his tariffs are very, very high. India's tariffs are among the highest. And I said, well, now, you know, we were very low. We were the lowest. They're just about the highest. There are others as high, but not much higher. And I said, no, from now on, what we do is what you charge us, we charge you. It's very simple. So whatever you're charging us, you can go as high as you want. Whatever you charge us, we charge you.
Did you make any pledges?
And I wouldn't say they were thrilled to hear that, but that's the way it is. Tariff, I told you, is a beautiful word. Fourth most beautiful.
Did you make any pledges about BRICS nations not undermining the dollar? You had threatened 100% tariffs.
BRICS, the BRICS nations, I think that's breaking up very rapidly. We said that if they're going to go and do anything to undermine the dollar, that includes China. I don't even know that they're a member of BRICS, but they had a few nations get together to try and play cute. And I said, we're going to put 100% tariff on every one of those nations. And at the mere thought of saying that, I think that's all broken up. That idea has no longer sailed. Now, that would be a terrible thing for our country. It would be bad for the world. They wanted to undermine the dollar. 6 nations got together. They wanted to undermine the dollar. That didn't work out too well. Not going to happen. And we're getting along with a lot of nations now, frankly. There's a lot of respect for the United States. We have regained the respect that we should have. But we've also done things to deserve it. I mean, we've freed up our country. And you're going to see this is basically energy dominance. And it's going to be environmentally clean, environmentally wonderful, and taxes will be very reasonable based on this. We're going to make more money than anybody's ever made with energy. We have more energy than anybody else, and it's clean energy, very clean, beautiful energy. We're lucky. We have it. I call it liquid gold under our feet, and we're going to utilize it. So this is a very big bill, and I have a very talented group of people behind me. This gentleman was the #1 man in all of the oil industry. They said there's nobody like him, Chris Wright. And you know Doug actually made a tremendous fortune in technology, and he said, I'm going to run for the governorship of, he loves his state, of North Dakota. And he did, and he made it so energy powerful that I think you're more proficient at energy than technology, but what do I know? And this guy, everybody knows him, Sean. He's been, he's done a fast study on transportation, and he knows, he's learned a lot over the last few months. He's learned a lot. He's really been great. And Howard has built one of the great companies, Cantor Fitzgerald. It was wiped out, completely wiped out, other than a few people left in Europe. And he rebuilt the company into a bigger, better company. Cantor Fitzgerald is one of the most, absolutely one of the top companies on Wall Street, stocks, bonds, trading. And he took that, I mean, he literally watched the plane go into the building, go into the World Trade Center. Amazing story. That alone is an amazing story. He was delayed because his wife insisted that he finally, after years, take his child to school. So he took his child to school that one day, because normally he would have been in the building at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's that business, right? So you owe your wife a lot and your child a lot, right? But his wife insisted that he take his child to school. For 5 years, he didn't do it. He was horrible. What kind of a father was he? Okay, I'll do it. And he was therefore driving down at 8:43, whatever the time was, down the West Side Highway, and he saw the plane go into the side of the building. He said, wow. And he occupied the top 3 floors of the World Trade Center, of the one building of the World Trade Center. And you know what happened there? He lost 100% of the people in that, his whole company was there. And he rebuilt his company step by step over years and became bigger and stronger. And he gave a tremendous amount of the profit to the families of the people that died, which he didn't have to do. And now he's working with us. He did an incredible job. I mean, anybody in that world, they know Howard Lutnick very well. And I'm honored to have him running commerce. He's going to be incredible. He loves the country. And Lee was a great lawyer, a great congressman, very successful person, both as a lawyer and as a congressman, and knows a lot about the environment, cares about the environment. And we were lucky that I was very happy that you joined. And he was with me right from the beginning, always was with me, and I've always been with him. And Kevin Hassett, we know everybody knows Kevin, and he's fantastic. And you and Lindsay, you and your team are incredible. The job you've done, we really appreciate. Thank Will. And the job you guys are doing is really fantastic. We're knocking this out. Brian, do you have a question?
I actually do. What kind of piqued my interest is growing up on the Texas Gulf Coast, natural gas, the LNG that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What's the potential for like new jobs or growth in that area? I mean, that part of the country, Southwest Louisiana, Southeast Texas, they depend on that.
Oh, I would say that potential is simply tremendous. You know, 20 years ago, the United States was the biggest importer of natural gas in the world. And we had natural gas prices 2 or 3 times higher than they are today. But with shale revolution and great entrepreneurs in Texas and Louisiana and across our great country, we are now today the largest net exporter of natural gas in the world. And so much of the world is depending upon natural gas. Is the fastest growing energy source, has been for 50 years. We were the driver of that, and then we paused. We stopped our ability to grow natural gas exports. Both the Japanese government and Indian government expressed great distress about that. They're going to count on energy imports from the U.S., and we may just change our mind. So I think they're thrilled to see the actions of this president say America's open for business. Yes, we have the energy, we have the people, we have huge job opportunities and investment opportunities, not just in the oil and gas industry, but all those surrounding communities that are lifted up by that more production here. And as we produce more production at scale, not only does it allow us to export, but it becomes more efficient and it helps us drive down the cost for our domestic consumers as well.
Yeah, I know they're really happy, so just let you Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And I will say this, that this all started 8 years ago when I got elected. We were doing this, not to the extent that we're doing it now, but we were doing this, and we became number 1 in oil and gas by far. And we were number 3, even number 4, some would say. When I left, we were number 1 by a lot. And then they pulled way back and the prices started going through the roof. And then they went back to my plan, but by that time the prices had already gone up. So they really disrupted it. But now we're going to take it to a new level. It's going to be amazing. And we're also, it's very powerful, clean coal. We have more coal than anybody. This is good, beautiful, clean coal. And if you notice, China's opening up a coal plant a month. Germany is now opening up a coal plant every 2 months. Very powerful. It's probably the most powerful source of energy in terms of generation of electricity and other things. And we're going to utilize our good, clean, beautiful coal and oil and gas. We have more than anybody of everything, and we're going to take advantage of it. And I appreciate everybody being here.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
can I ask you, sir, about what's happening in Munich? Senator Roger Wicker shepherded Defense Secretary Hegseth through his confirmation. He got him through that process, and then he had some tough words for him overseas. He said it was a rookie mistake for Secretary Hegseth to outline what would or would not happen as far as Ukraine's membership in NATO goes. And then
I haven't heard that. I mean, Roger's a very good friend of mine, and Pete is obviously, he's been doing a great job.
Did you know
I haven't heard. Let me look at, you tell me something I have not heard
the
about.
question I had is, were you aware of what Secretary Hegseth was going to say in his speech at NATO?
Generally speaking, yeah. Generally speaking, I was. So I'll speak to Roger. I'll speak to Pete. I'll find out.
Mr.
President, the Energy Dominance Council, that is for all forms of energy? Does that include
All
wind and
forms of
solar?
energy, yep.
And the pipeline you mentioned, sir, is that Constitution Pipeline in New York?
Yes.
Can you, is that the
I
project?
believe so,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. And, you know, they've been trying to get it for 20 years. And what it means is for New York, upstate New York, and even everywhere in New York, also other states, but in particular, New England, that New England will now, I think, will cut the energy prices, and big cuts in New York too, but cut the energy prices literally in half. We have the permits. We have permits that just about everything we need, a New York permit, and I would imagine they want to do it because their energy prices will come down so far. And it's a lot of jobs for New York. It's a great thing for New York. Everybody wants it. We'll be meeting with the various governors, Governor of New York, and the other governors too. And we can have it built in about 9 months, and let's say 1 year, but we can actually have it built in pretty close to 9 months. It's all set. We have most of the permits, almost all of the permits.
And on just, you're prioritizing energy dominance today. You've also prioritized trade balance. The oil industry is a little worried about the steel tariffs. I mean, they put 20,000 feet steel in the ground at a well. How will you balance that? Is there a possibility?
You're talking about steel and aluminum.
Indeed, steel tariffs.
So the steel, I saved the steel industry in my first term by putting on tariffs because China was dumping massive amounts of steel. Others also, but mostly China. And I put very substantial, we took in $600 billion worth of tariffs from China. No other president's taken up, literally haven't gotten 10 cents from China, not 10 cents. And hundreds of billions of dollars came in from China. And they understood it. They understood what I did. But the dumping stopped. And had I not done that, you wouldn't have one steel mill, I think I can say, not one steel mill operating in this country. And we need steel. We need steel. I mean, there are some things you have to have, and steel is one of them for military, et cetera. So I think steel is going to be very strong. It's going to be very strong. I think it'll go back to being really powerful. We saved it. I mean, we were talking about U.S. Steel last week. U.S. Steel would have been closed, totally closed. We saved it. And now it's going to become, I think, very, very profitable. The tariffs are going to save a lot of industries.
Mr. President, U.S. Steel, can I just follow up on U.S. Steel? Just
go
very
ahead,
quickly,
finish
sir. If the Japanese company that's interested in U.S. Steel wants to take a minority stake as opposed to full ownership, is
A
that
minority stake I wouldn't mind greatly, but what they're doing right now is they're going to be investors, and they're going to be investing in, I think, debt and various other things. But we didn't want to let U.S. Steel go to a foreign company. U.S. Steel was the greatest company in the world for a period of 15 years. It was, it was the big deal 80 years ago or so. And psychologically, we can't even think about letting that happen. But what is going to happen, and we've already seen it, you see it in the stock price, with the tariffs, U.S. Steel is going to be a real powerhouse again.
Mr. President, if I could just follow up on Jackie's question about Munich. Vice President Vance's speech to the conference has ruffled quite a few feathers in Europe.
What did he say to ruffle them? I don't know.
He was talking about the freedom of speech and migration in Europe. Do you believe that European leaders have a fundamentally different view of the world than this administration's?
Well, I heard his speech, and I tell you, you're talking about JD's speech, right?
Yes, sir.
I heard his speech, and he talked about freedom of speech, and I think it's true in Europe. It's losing. They're losing their wonderful right of freedom of speech. I see it. I mean, I thought he made a very good speech, actually, a very brilliant speech. Yeah. Europe has to be careful. And he talked about immigration. And Europe has a big immigration problem. Just take a look at what's happened with crime. Take a look at what's happening in various parts of Europe. I thought his speech was very well received, actually. I've heard very good remarks.
And in regards to Ukraine as well, yesterday you mentioned that you thought Ukraine's NATO aspirations were one of the main reasons that the war broke out. Who do you blame for the war, Ukraine or Russia?
Well, I think that there were a lot of people to blame. All I can say is very simply, if I were president, that war would never have happened. And you know what else wouldn't have happened? The Middle East wouldn't be all blown up, and October 7th wouldn't have happened either. Those two areas, you wouldn't have inflation, you wouldn't have October 7th, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine fighting. None of those things would have happened if I were president.
So,
Mr. President?
Earlier this week.
Yeah, please.
You mentioned auto tariffs the other day.
Yeah.
When do you plan to unroll?
Howard, I'd say over the next sometime, or maybe around April 2nd. I would have done them on April 1st. Believe it or not, I'm a little superstitious. No, literally, we had it planned for April 1st. I said, let's make it April 2nd. You know how much money that costs? That costs a lot of money just that one day, but we're going to do it on April 2nd, I think. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
The lead prosecutor in Eric Adams' case resigned today, saying anyone who didn't press forward would be a coward. What's your reaction to that and to the overall implication that politics were at play here?
Well, I don't know about it. I mean, obviously, I'm not involved in that. But I would say this, that if they had a problem, and these are mostly people from the previous administration, you understand, so they weren't going to be there anyway. They were going to all be gone or dismissed. If not, they know on Tuesday they're all being dismissed. You know, the whole country is being, because what you do is you come in and you put new people in. So when you say resign, they're going to be gone anyway. But I know nothing about the individual case. I know that they didn't feel it was much of a case. They also felt that it was unfair with the election. Look, I would know that better than anybody because I was weaponized more than any human being in the history probably of the world. And I won the election in a landslide, winning all 7 swing states, winning the popular vote and everything else, because the people got it. It was weaponized, and I was weaponized literally weeks before the election. But I think there's also something to be said. I read that. There's something to be said for what they were doing. It looked to me to be very political. But why didn't they bring this up like 4 or 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, or whatever it happened? You know, they just sat around and didn't complain. Then all of a sudden they complain, and they know they're all being dismissed anyway. So, you know, that's the way it is. That's called politics, I guess. Yeah, please.
Earlier this week, you predicted that all hell would break loose if Hamas didn't hand over all of their hostages. What do you expect to happen tomorrow in terms of...
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at 12 o'clock. It was up to me. I'd take a very hard stance. I can't tell you what Israel's going to do. But I watched the last people come out, and I looked at a before and an after picture. One guy was a big, strong, healthy guy. Could say he was a little bit overweight. He's not overweight anymore. He looks like he just came out of the Holocaust. It looks like a Holocaust picture. I've looked at him for a long time, and they've been treated very badly. The young lady came out last week. Her hand was blown off. I mean, literally, her hand was trying to stop a bullet that was headed for her face. She put up her hand. She goes like this and wiped out her fingers and a lot of her hand. Now, I would take a different stance, but it depends. Look, it depends what Bibi's going to do. It depends what Israel's going to do. But and now I understand they've totally changed. Hamas has totally changed. They want to release hostages now again. But you have to see, this started by them saying, we're not going to release the hostages as we said we were. I said, good. You have till 12 o'clock on Saturday, which is tomorrow at 12 o'clock to do it. And we didn't hear anything. Then all of a sudden, 2 days ago, they said, no, we've decided we're going to release the hostages. So, but I actually think they should release all of the hostages. Remember, they're probably as bad as they looked. I mean, I don't like to say that, but they looked real bad 4 days ago, 5 days ago when I saw them. And the young ladies that came out were treated really badly. You don't know what happened, but I do. They were treated really badly. But as bad as they look, the ones that follow probably will look a lot worse. I think they're sending out their most healthy. And they've been hit hard on that, Hamas. So they probably didn't want to release. But they changed their mind. I said 12 o'clock tomorrow, and all of a sudden, 2 days ago, yesterday, they said they're going back to releasing. But this all started by them saying, we are not going to release any more hostages. And then yesterday they said they are going to release the hostages. But I think they should release all of the hostages.
About 75,000 workers took this deferred resignation. It's a little bit short of the 5 to 10% goal you were hoping to hit. Do you think you'll have to make up the rest of that number in layoffs?
No, look, that's 75,000 more than we would have had. And nobody knows what that final number is, because in the end, I think a lot of people aren't going to show up to work. A lot of people, they got used to staying home and quote, working. But, I wonder if they had other jobs or other things. They have a lot of problems with that. No, 75,000 is a lot of people. And we paid them well. We gave them a lot of months of severance pay, if you call it that. But no, I think you'll probably have some more too, in addition. It's a big, tremendous saving for our. We want to downsize government, but make it better. Run it better, but downsize. Yeah, please.
So may I ask about the UK? I understand that you had a phone call with Keir Starmer yesterday.
I did. I just signed a letter to him. He asked for a meeting, and I agreed to the meeting. We're going to have a friendly meeting. Very good. We have a lot of good things going on. But he asked to come and see me, and I just accepted his asking.
Do you have a date for that, sir? And what do you hope to
Very soon. I think he wants to come next week or the week after.
And what do you hope to discuss?
I don't know. It was his request, not mine. But, I met him twice already. We get along very well. He's a very nice guy. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, and that was the extended playback there inside of the Oval Office. President Trump taking questions as he normally does in these settings, and taking questions on Gaza and this deadline for Hamas. That is 12 p.m. tomorrow to hand over the hostages. And he says he doesn't know what Israel will do if that deadline passes and the hostages aren't turned over. So again, we will bring you always the very latest here on Live Now from Fox. We'll take a 2-minute break right now. Stay right here with us. Let's go out to some tape playback, though. We are just getting from the White House, President Trump signing those executive orders.
Order would not happen as far as Ukraine's membership in NATO goes. And then
I haven't heard that. I mean, Roger's a very good friend of mine, and Peter's obviously, he's been doing a great job.
Did you know
I haven't heard. Let me look at. You tell me something. I have not heard about
the question I had is, were you aware of what Secretary Hegseth was going to say in his speech at NATO?
Generally speaking, yeah. Generally speaking, I was. So I'll speak to Roger. I'll speak to Pete. I'll find out.
Mr. President, the Energy Dominance Council, that is for all forms of energy? Does that include
all
wind and
forms
solar?
of energy? Yep.
And the pipeline you mentioned, sir, is that Constitution pipeline in New York?
Yes.
Can you? Is that the project?
I believe so, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. And they've been trying to get it for 20 years. And what it means is for New York, upstate New York, and even everywhere in New York, also other states, but in particular New England, that New England will now, I think, will cut the energy prices, and big cuts in New York too, but cut the energy prices literally in half. We have the permits. We have permits that just about everything we need. A New York permit, and I would imagine they want to, because their energy prices will come down so far. And it's a lot of jobs for New York. It's a great thing for New York. Everybody wants it. We'll be meeting with the various governors, Governor of New York, and the other governors too. And we can have it built in about 9 months, and let's say 1 year, but we can actually have it built in pretty close to 9 months. It's all set. We have most of the permits, almost all of the permits.
And on just, you're prioritizing energy dominance today. You've also prioritized trade balance. The oil industry is a little worried about the steel tariffs. I mean, they put 20,000 feet steel in the ground at a well. How will you balance that? Is there a possibility?
You're talking about steel and aluminum.
Indeed, steel tariffs.
So the steel, I saved the steel industry in my first term by putting on tariffs because China was dumping massive amounts of steel. Others also, but mostly China. And I put very substantial, we took in $600 billion worth of tariffs from China. No other president's taken up, literally haven't gotten 10 cents from China, not 10 cents. And hundreds of billions of dollars came in from China. And they understood it. They understood what I did. But the dumping stopped. And had I not done that, you wouldn't have one steel mill, I think I can say, not one steel mill operating in this country. And we need steel. We need steel. I mean, there are some things you have to have, and steel is one of them for military, et cetera. So I think steel is going to be very strong. It's going to be very strong. I think it'll go back to being really powerful. We saved it. I mean, we were talking about U.S. Steel last week. U.S. Steel would have been closed, totally closed. We saved it. And now it's going to become, I think, very, very profitable. The tariffs are going to save a lot of industries.
Mr. President, U.S. Steel, can I just follow up on U.S. Steel? Just
go
very
ahead,
quickly,
finish
sir. If the Japanese company that's interested in U.S. Steel wants to take a minority stake as opposed to full ownership, is
a
that
minority stake I wouldn't mind greatly, but what they're doing right now is they're going to be investors, and they're going to be investing in, I think, debt and various other things. But we didn't want to let U.S. Steel go to a foreign company. U.S. Steel was the greatest company in the world for a period of 15 years. It was, it was the big deal 80 years ago or so. And psychologically, we can't even think about letting that happen. But what is going to happen, and we've already seen it, you see it in the stock price, with the tariffs, U.S. Steel is going to be a real powerhouse again.
Mr. Trump, if I could just follow up on Jackie's question about Munich. Vice President Vance's speech to the conference has ruffled quite a few feathers in Europe.
What did he say to ruffle them? I don't know.
He was talking about the freedom of speech and migration in Europe. Do you believe that European leaders have a fundamentally different view of the world than this administration's?
Well, I heard his speech, and I tell you, you're talking about JD's speech, right?
Yes, sir.
I heard his speech, and he talked about freedom of speech, and I think it's true in Europe. It's losing. They're losing their wonderful right of freedom of speech. I see it. I mean, I thought he made a very good speech, actually, a very brilliant speech. Europe has to be careful. And he talked about immigration. And Europe has a big immigration problem. Just take a look at what's happened with crime. Take a look at what's happening in various parts of Europe. I thought his speech was very well received, actually. I've heard very good remarks.
And in regards to Ukraine as well, yesterday you mentioned that you thought Ukraine's NATO aspirations were one of the main reasons that the war broke out. Who do you blame for the war, Ukraine or Russia?
Well, I think that there were a lot of people to blame. All I can say is very simply, if I were president, that war would never have happened. And you know what else wouldn't have happened? The Middle East wouldn't be all blown up, and October 7th wouldn't have happened either. Those two areas, you wouldn't have inflation, you wouldn't have October 7th, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine fighting. None of those things would have happened if I were president.
Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
You mentioned auto tariffs the other day.
Yeah.
When do you plan to unroll?
Howard, I'd say over the next, sometime, maybe around April 2nd. I would have done them on April 1st. Believe it or not, I'm a little superstitious. No, literally, we had it planned for April 1st. I said, let's make it April 2nd. You know how much money that costs? That costs a lot of money just that one day, but we're going to do it on April 2nd, I think. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
The lead prosecutor in Eric Adams' case resigned today, saying anyone who didn't press forward would be a coward. What's your reaction to that and to the overall implication that politics were at play here?
Well, I don't know about it. I mean, obviously, I'm not involved in that. But I would say this, that if they had a problem, and these are mostly people from the previous administration, you understand, so they weren't going to be there anyway. They were going to all be gone or dismissed. If not, they know on Tuesday they're all being dismissed. The whole country is being, because what you do is you come in and you put new people in. So when you say resign, they're going to be gone anyway. But I know nothing about the individual case. I know that they didn't feel it was much of a case. They also felt that it was unfair with the election. Look, I would know that better than anybody because I was weaponized more than any human being in the history probably of the world. And I won the election in a landslide, winning all 7 swing states, winning the popular vote and everything else. because the people got it. It was weaponized, and I was weaponized literally weeks before the election. But I think there's also something to be said. I read that there's something to be said for what they were doing. It looked to me to be very political. But why didn't they bring this up like 4 or 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, or whatever it happened? You know, they just sat around and didn't complain. Then all of a sudden they complain, and they know they're all being dismissed anyway. So, you know, that's the way it is. That's called politics, I guess. Yeah, please.
Earlier this week, you predicted that all hell would break loose if Hamas can hand over all of their hostages. What do you expect to happen tomorrow in terms of
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at 12 o'clock. It was up to me. I'd take a very hard stance. I can't tell you what Israel's going to do. But I watched the last people come out, and I looked at a before and an after picture. One guy was a big, strong, healthy guy. You could say he was a little bit overweight. He's not overweight anymore. He looks like he just came out of the Holocaust. It looks like a Holocaust picture. I've looked at him for a long time, and they've been treated very badly. The young lady
Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster lean and and we ain't coming down, see on my face that smile, see on my head that crown, I'm on top of the world, top of the town, baby. I moved up the hood that had the church on the corner where I sit and talk shit all day cause I wanna. And on top of that, wasn't none of y'all gonna do nothing but keep running your mouth and keep frontin'. Go ahead and say something. I'll wait. I ain't gonna wait too late, 'cause in a minute I'm escape. Cause there is no debate. No, it's not an option. You gotta keep the cop watch. Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile. See on my sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile, see on my head that crown, I'm on top of the world, top of the town, baby. I moved up the hood that had the church on the corner where I sit and talk shit all day cause I wanna. And on top of that, wasn't none of y'all gonna do nothing but keep running your mouth and keep frontin'. Go ahead and say something. I'll wait. I ain't gonna wait too late, 'cause in a minute I'm escape. Cause there is no debate. No, it's not an option. You gotta keep the cop watch. Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile. See on my
headshot. Headshot.
Sunroof.
Headshot.
Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile, see on my head face, that's crown. I'm on the top of the world, talking to town, baby. I moved up the hood that had the church on the corner where I sit and talk shit all day cause I wanna. And on top of that, wasn't none of y'all gonna do nothing but keep running your mouth and keep frontin'. Go ahead and say something. I'll wait. I ain't gonna wait too late, 'cause in a minute I'm escape. 'Cause there is no debate. No, it's not an option. You gotta keep the cop watch. Sun rooftop, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning up. And we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile. See on my. There's a crowd. I'm on top of the world. Talking to town. Yes, sir. As we proceed to give you what you need. First thing I saw when I came through the door. Make a nigga wanna go raw, especially when I come through push to the core. Listen, that's by law. Feminine sure, but it get you in the door, get you in the floor, get you in the bed, get you in the muff. Head, come up. See, I'm back in my city, looking all good, and I'm feeling all pretty, yes? Fresh gear, fresh cut, strutting my motherfucking stuff, and what? That's why we up in the club, shorty giving it up, raw. And she said, just throw it in there, drop low, give them what they pay for. Hot damn, last night I had a blast, 100-yard dash, coming in fast. Shorty in this pretty ass mask, I'm spinning that cash and shaking that ass. Yup, and I'm really gonna bust though. Shorty really made a lot of gusto. Don't really know you long, can't trust you if I catch you out back, shorty. Let's go back. D block, baby. Pause. Funny ass niggas. See, we don't give a fuck. If you don't give a fuck, Nick, we don't give a fuck, Nick. What?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Happy Valentine's Day, and thank you for joining us. All right, speaking in Munich today, J.D. Vance gave our European allies a much-needed wake-up call. It was really a 180-degree departure from Biden's weak and wasteful, we're going to give you anything you want approach to Europe. So calling out the EU's increasing hostility to free speech, Vance was refreshingly blunt.
If you're running in fear of your own voters, there is nothing America can do for you. Nor, for that matter, is there anything that you can do for the American people who elected me and elected President Trump. You need democratic mandates to accomplish anything of value in the coming years. Have we learned nothing that thin mandates produce unstable results? But there is so much of value that can be accomplished with the kind of democratic mandate that I think will come from being more responsive to the voices of your citizens.
Yeah, this novel concept where you actually listen to the needs and concerns of your own people. That's what Donald Trump's doing here in the United States. The European leaders need to do the same thing. So they wanted him to speak about Russia and China. And the threat here is not so much Russia and China, it's yourselves and your own approach to these issues. But I think my favorite part of the speech was when the cameras panned to the audience, the face of the elites that were used to getting their way and taking us all for fools.
We may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree. You cannot win a democratic mandate by censoring your opponents or putting them in jail. I believe that dismissing people, dismissing their concerns, or worse yet, shutting down media, shutting down elections, or shutting people out of the political process protects nothing.
So like, what do you mean the voice of the people matter? We're used to running the show. But this was a deeply pro-American speech because we don't apologize for who we are or what we believe. President Obama kind of did that during his first European tour, but that's not us.
And in the interest of comedy, my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. The government urged readers to report any fellow citizen suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
And he's right about that. Now, one of the most powerful parts of Vance's address today were his comments on the self-harm that Europe has done to itself to satisfy the mythical global order.
I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what they did vote for? In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration.
Now, what he's getting at there is that Europe and their elites there, their old cabals, tried everything they could, everything in their power to malign and defame and sometimes even jail its populist movements, populist leaders. But Vance perfectly assessed where this will lead.
But what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered.
And this is how the MAGA folks felt for years, even before they were called MAGA, before there was a Donald Trump on the political scene. They felt ignored, they felt dismissed, looked down upon. But eventually, the people will have their say. And today, J.D. Vance did America proud and having the brains and, frankly, the guts to tell the truth to those who presided over Europe's steady decline. Joining us now, Glenn Greenwald, Pulitzer Prize-winning independent journalist. Glenn, what I love are reading the comments from those back in the United States. Politico today basically saying that J.D. Vance attacked our European allies, attack them by focusing on the cultural issues like free speech instead of focusing on how we need to, I guess, I don't know, spend billions of dollars more and
Yeah, we connected the man. Laid out, man. Niggas twat nigga ass up, son.
Somebody call the cops. 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 Yo, somebody call the cops. Somebody call the cops, please. Somebody call the cops. Look at these little niggas all in my head. Talking this shit I ain't even trying to hit. Yeah, let me get this clear. Yeah, nigga, this is my year. Yeah, and I don't sweat them foes. No, I don't sweat those hoes. No, I don't sweat those trolls. I switch clothes. Hoes get chose. Yeah, nigga holding my crotch. Yeah, nigga checking my watch. Two hots in the motherfucking cop. Straight from the bottom, straight to the big shot. Yeah, nigga, that's that shit though. Yeah, you can see it on the big screen. Big man, big lane, big green. Little nigga, winner really big chain. Somebody call the cops. Yeah, somebody call the cops. Yeah, somebody call the cops. Somebody call them. Yeah, somebody call the cops. Hold up, please. Somebody call the cops. Yeah, see it on the big screen. Big name, big lane, big green. Little nigga, literally big dream. Call the cops. Somebody call the cops. Somebody call the cops. Please, somebody call the cops. Somebody call the cops. Somebody call the cops. Please, somebody call the cops. 911, nigga. 5 a.m. and nigga phone start ringing. Nigga, what the fuck is you singing? Nigga, what the fuck is you drinking? Nigga, what the fuck is this story you singing? Nigga smoking them trees. Can't stop popping them E's. Can't stop fucking them B's. Chicken them cheese. Whipping them G's. Niggas know you niggas got dough. Nigga, what you think you got for? Nigga try to front, come round back. Nigga gon' slide and back though. Nigga, that's that shit though. You can see it on the big screen. Big mean, big lane, big green. Little nigga, literally big dream. Balls.
Jay-Z tried to sign you. And you tried to sign you, your group offered you 12 points. What are points in a rap?
How do you know about this shit? Number one, who you have some? Man, you got some good digging this shit up.
We gotta. Hey, look here. If you know this,
yes,
you put a team together. If you can't trust your team implicitly, you need to get new team members.
Absolutely. Points is like, you know, when you how many records you sell, how much money you gonna get on the back end, residual.
Oh, it's not like the points you're not gonna get against Bronny, right?
No.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna use saying point.
So back in the day, Hove tried to sign my group Major Figures. It wasn't just Hove, it was Dame Dash, it was Rockefeller.
Okay.
You know, I didn't feel as though that the contract was right, so I didn't accept it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I did a solo deal with Tony Draper and Suave House. He's my great friend to this day. 2 other artists that was on Major Figures, Dutch and Spade, they went over to Unentertainment. Another artist that was on Major Figures, Ab Lava, he went over to Dr. Dre. So we kind of had this Optimus Prime thing going on where everybody could go get their own money on a solo thing, and we're going to do the group together. Che and Dame came back with the offer. I didn't like the offer. I thought it was a slave deal. I thought we would have to sell a quadrillion records to make some money, so I turned it down, and that was the situation.
But what transpired after that?
I mean, some things were said about making it difficult for whatever.
For you to be in this game.
You know, but
does that happen a lot?
Yes.
If you refuse to sign with someone, it's like, okay, you're done. You're not gonna work in this industry.
It happens a lot in this game, you know, especially to a young kid that got talent, that's young and naive. You're like, you man, what do you mean you're gonna make it difficult? I believe in God, nigga, shut up. But the reality of it is that they can make it difficult for you. You gotta understand. Wallow was in jail, right? And he used to call home. And I used to say, cuz they blackballing me, man. And I didn't know that he thought that I was full of shit until he came home. And then we would bump into people and they would tell us, like, no, Gilly was on the list. That, like, you gotta understand, shout out to Cypher Sounds, you gotta understand, because I was talented, people didn't want to block me. So he brought me up to MTV. I was on MTV. I did an interview on MTV. And the interview was so powerful that they got a call from Universal. Said you'll never get an exclusive again.
Wow.
If you interview me. I'm just a kid just trying to get on. You gotta understand, I'm in the car, I'm on my way to 50 Cent house because 50 Cent wanted to sign me. Shout out to 50, you know what I mean? And I'm in a truck with Cosmic Kev. Shout out, biggest DJ from Philadelphia. And he calls DJ Khaled. And he says, man, Gilly got this record that's moving. And Khaled says, yeah, Gilly, I see the record is moving. You know, all this fake shit, you know. And then it says, are you still beefing with Lil Wayne, though? I said, what? The f does that have to do with you, man? First of all, Wayne dissed me.
Right.
Anybody I ever had an issue with, they started the shit.
I never start nothing. I mind my business. Anybody know Gilly? He sit around, he smoke his weed, he work, he do his work, and he mind his business. Anybody I ever had an issue with, ever, they started this shit with me. It's just that I'm ultra aggressive. So then when I come back, it's like, damn, that was crazy. Like, no, if I'm getting in the ring with you, bro, I'm not throwing jabs. I'm throwing jabs and hooks and uppercuts. I'm trying to get you the out of here.
Right.
So for me, it's always just been, I mind my business. You with me, then you get what comes with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But back what I was speaking on, because you got me off this goddamn cognac. It kind of
that shit good though.
Smooth too. Man.
Yeah. We gonna see you with a bottle. You let you
man,
celebrate the
smooth through my thought process. He gets you with that shit, man. You know what I mean, man? Shout out to this though, man.
Shea by Laportier.
Shea by Laportier. Let me tell you something.
It's a VSOP to drink like an XO.
And this shit's smooth too. He sneak up on you. Motherfucker run up on you like a bank robber.
What have you learned, or what did you learn, or how have you learned about the music industry?
I learned that all of that shit is fake.
Really?
Yes. All of it. That's why I don't go to no parties. Because all of it is fake. All of it's a bunch of fluff. All of it is a bunch of drunk lying to each other. Man, we gonna get together, man. This the year, baby. Yeah. I ain't got your number. Shut up. You ain't got to lie to me no more. I'm rich. Matter of fact, I'm tracking you down, and I might buy a couple of you bastards. So you ain't got to lie to me no more. I don't. See, you gotta understand. I'm this motherfucker, right? They call us, right? They say, Gilly, we want to invite you to the Rock Nation brunch. I'm the nigga that said, why would I want to come? Why wouldn't you want to come? I said, you want me to keep it real with you, or you want me to lie to you?
Keep it a buck.
I said, the Rock Nation brunch ain't of nothing but Jay-Z putting a bunch of on the lawn and then going in the back door and saying, I told you I still run this shit. Give me the money.
Wow.
You think I'm letting her use my brand? Huh? See, Rich shit like this.
Yeah, I see how you turn to that.
I got this shit from Russell and them. I ain't dead yet. But I be seeing the rich shit like this. You know, they get a little money, they cross their legs and shit. That's all this is, man. Let's keep it real. I operate with 26 major brands. You think I don't know what branding is? Come on, we don't work from New Amsterdam Vodka, Manscaped, Harrier Razors, Roman Swipes, you name them.
Mm-hmm.
They come to $1 million worth of game because we move the needle. I don't let nobody allow to use my brand.
Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile. See on my head that's crown. I'm on the top of the world, talking it down, baby.
I moved up the hood that had the church on the corner where I sit and talk shit all day cause I wanna. And on top of that, wasn't none of y'all gonna do nothing but keep running your mouth and keep frontin'. Go ahead and say something. I'll wait. I ain't gonna wait too late, cause in a minute I'm escape. Cause there is no debate. No, it's not an option. You gotta keep it cocked. Watch.
Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster leaning and we ain't coming down.